Welcome to After School with Mr. Van Huss, episode 22. My guest today is a former NWA Women's World Champion. She held the title for 813 days, and that was just in one reign. She's also just an amazing person, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to Kamille.
So welcome to After School with Mr. Van Huss. Today I'm joined by the fabulous Kamille. You doing okay today?
I'm good other than totally messing up our time here, but
Oh, that's okay.
it was better that I was ready early than late, I guess,
Absolutely. I've had it go both ways, and I would rather have early than late. And it was good timing because I just dropped my kids off at the bus and had just gotten back to my room. So it worked out perfectly for me. So I started doing this YouTube show just to kind of inspire my students and to talk with people who have found success doing things that they love to do, and hopefully get some advice from them and just hear a little bit of their story. I know you and I have crossed paths a couple of times at some different wrestling shows. I know you performed here at Station Camp High School a couple of years ago. You and your husband Tom both did that night, and I know. I think your very first show was the NWA 70th anniversary show.
Yes, with the NWA, correct?
Yes, I was at that show, like in the audience, and that was probably the first time I kind of saw you work and everything, and have always been impressed with your attitude and your husband's attitude, and you guys were, so great to work with the times we did, and you guys having just an awesome work ethic. So I wanted to talk to you, and I know my students will love hearing what you have to say. So starting out, I just want to ask, what influenced you to do what you do?
To do what I currently do as a wrestler, well, that, is a journey in of itself. I played sports my whole life, right? Played sports my entire life. I went to a Division I college and played softball there. But, I knew that my athletic career was coming to an end once I graduated. There is professional softball, but it just wasn't. I was kind of over it at that point. And I was like, all right, it's time to, go out into the real world and have a quote unquote real job. Right. And I had my degree in communication studies, and, as you do, and like, that's something that we can talk about as well. You just kind of go for it. Right. So I had no idea what exactly I was gonna do, but my first job was in California, and I was doing like sales for a sports team, and I was like, man, yeah, I'm in an office every day. I don't like this, especially coming from sports and athletics and being active, and I still go to the gym, but it was just didn't feel right. And so it's way too long to explain here, but I did a couple of things, and eventually something happened in life where, I had been living on my own for, especially, counting college, for years at this point, and I had to move back in with my parents. And then, I was like, man, like, what in the world has happened? I've done everything quote unquote right, everything you're supposed to do. What is going on here? I'm living back with my parents. How embarrassing, right? And while I was living with them, I grew up watching wrestling with my dad, but as most people do, I kind of got away from it, and but he still loved going to watch it, and we would always go to shows together. Like, they're called independent shows, so people think of like WWE, maybe even AEW nowadays, and but little local shows are called independent shows. And went to one with him one night, and the wrestling was terrible, awful, awful, awful. But I had a great time. And like, that's the thing I tell everybody. I was like, if you go to a live show, you're going to have a good time no matter what. And I just kind of woke up the next day and had this, a little bit of, what I used to call epiphany, but now I think it was probably, God tapped me on the shoulder and just said, hey, you can be a wrestler. Like, I did acting when I was younger. I played sports my whole life. It's kind of combination of the two. So I opened up my laptop and I Googled how to become a professional wrestler. You can find anything on Google these days. And, it's a very like weird niche, little area. And because if you don't have someone in your family or friends that does it, it's like, how do you start wrestling, And I found a school down in Florida. And so I moved down to Florida and started training. And fast forward to today, it's been my, only job since 2018. So I'm very blessed for that.
Now, you've done some awesome work for NWA. Were you the longest reigning female champion of NWA all time? I know it was like over 800 days.
Yeah, so I was not the longest reigning of all
Okay.
time, because I could be wrong on this. I think I might have been in the top 2 or 3 of longest, like one, like singular reigns. But while I had my reign, because I call myself a one-time champion for a reason. I was like, I'm gonna have that belt one time, and so my reign was all one. What word am I looking for here, Drew?
One cycle, maybe.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Just one reign, and
Gotcha.
it was 813 days, so over 2 years. And I ended up during that reign, I moved into the top 5 all time, counting people that had multiple reigns and everything. So with my one reign, I still moved into the top 5 of all time, and that belt's been around since 1948. So super cool and amazing to be able to go in the ranks with people like Mildred Burke, June Byers. It's just super cool.
Now, who were your heroes before you got into wrestling? Did you have anybody that you looked up to that you wanted to kind of, emulate their success, or you wanted to be like them?
So this is where I feel bad because I wish I could give a little bit of a better answer. But the way I kind of grew up, I've always been a headstrong person. I've been very stubborn, hard-headed, and kind of like, I know what's best for me. And so I never really idolized anyone. I never really, quote unquote, looked up to anybody. I enjoy people's work, but I never thought I want to be just like them one day. There's no problem with that, but choose your people you look up to carefully. But I will say I enjoyed watching Edge, Lita. Those people were entertaining to me, even Booker T, because it was 5, the little things you like when you're a kid. But I will say, once I actually got into the business, that's when I started, you start watching wrestling in a different way, as you should, because you're now in the business. And it really stinks because this name is kind of, since everything's happened, been not a good name to say. So I guess I won't say the name, but there's a certain wrestler that I watched and I really enjoyed his work. And, I'm built a little different. And I'm a female, but there's certain things that I stole from him or wanted to emulate and be like his movement and the way he sold, things like that. Kind of pointless to say since I can't say who it is, but maybe we can all guess.
People can probably figure it out, and that kind of thing happens in the entertainment world sometimes. I came from a music business, entertainment, and there were things that sometimes people's lives would just take them in a direction that you didn't really want that to be the direction your hero went in. I think that's an important thing for my students to see. I think that's an important thing for anybody to see. I play a lot of music in my room, and sometimes songs will come on and it's like, well, I know we look differently at that artist now. They still make great music, but it's just one of those things. So what kind of student were you in high school and college? I know you were really involved in athletics. Was there anything else that stood out as a student?
I'm not trying to sound like a bragger here, but I actually was a very good student. I guess I was blessed enough to always just be naturally sort of book smart. I did, I think that playing sports, it put me in a certain mindset of working very hard. And I think that kind of crept into all areas of my life, right? So since I know that's not the case for everybody, I understand. But for me, since I would always be busy with athletics, I had to really make time to study, to do my homework, which I'm actually about to go back to school. And this, I'm stressed thinking about homework and stuff, right? But I never in a million years thought I would go back to school. But yeah, and I really enjoyed school, also just for the social aspect, of course. I mean, I loved going to see my friends. I loved hanging out, and that's why I love sports as well. I don't have, I think it's cool to have that story of I wasn't a good student, or I didn't have friends, or, but that was not my story. I kind of got along with everybody, and I liked my high school because it wasn't like the high schools you see in movies where it's like jocks and like you have that to a degree, right? Like of course it's like natural, but our school was really cool at that time. It just felt like everyone sort of blended and got along, and it was awesome. Sorry, I went on a tangent here.
You're okay.
But schoolwork, I just kind of put my head down and did it, and I don't know, I guess stuff stuck with me really well back in the day, which that is a practice, right? Because now I struggle with trying to like pick up a language or anything. So it's definitely I think if you don't use it, you lose it.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up, because one reason I wanted to get you on my little YouTube show here is because number one, I'm a fan. We've met in the past, and I know what a cool person you are. And I saw the other day on your social media that you were going back to school, and I thought, oh, that's so cool. I did that. I had like my music business career, and I was 30 when I decided that wasn't what I wanted to do the rest of my life, and I wanted to do something else. So from 30 to 32 is when I went back and got my master's. And I wasn't the greatest of students in high school and college. I kind of got by, but I probably didn't have your gifts of being able to remember some of that stuff. But I was completely different when I went back for my master's. And then it was like, look, if I don't get an A, there's going to be a problem, like with myself and everybody else and stuff. So I saw that you were going back to school, and I was like, oh, good for you, and it's such a leap, and it's awesome. So I'm proud of you for that. And I'll be praying for the best of luck for you there.
Thank you. I think, like you said too, it's funny because your mind should change a little bit as you get older, right? It's instead of something that you feel like you have to do, as a kid or a young adult. Because I'm the same. I'm 31, and it's like I'm wanting to do this. I'm deciding. No one's pressuring me at all. If anything, what I'm going to school for is anti-pressured to do. It's something I want to do, and it doesn't make it like I'm still nervous about it, right? Like I don't remember how to like do ADA and all this. And I'm very nervous, but it's just something that I feel passionate that I need to do, and I think that you appreciate like learning and knowledge when you get older, right? Instead of when you're younger, like I said, I kind of just like the social aspect of it,
Absolutely. It's definitely something that comes with age to where you can appreciate it. When you were in school, did you have a favorite teacher or a favorite coach or anybody who pushed you along?
All right. So it's funny, you said, oh, you remember stuff. And I feel like since I've gotten older, my memory is terrible. But I know that I had favorite teachers and teachers that were very like influential, in my life. I definitely had some not favorite teachers as well. But I can know for a fact, like one of my favorite coaches in high school was my high school softball coach. His name was Boo Rigsby. And that was just because he was like I guess he's like the cool guy, you know what I mean? He's like the cool coach, and he just was easy to talk to, and like he ran a good practice. It's not like it was like, a free for all, but he was just very easy to talk to and really cool. So Boo was awesome. Gosh, I can't remember. I'm so sorry. I can't remember this guy's name, but he was a philosophy teacher, right? And I took philosophy. I don't know why I took philosophy, just to do it, I guess. But I remember one time, and I was just kind of like, that's the thing too. I was good at school and made good grades, but if you ask anyone, I was also like the class clown. So I don't know. I was like both. And so I was just like messing around one time and saying this stuff in philosophy. And he, instead of like getting mad at it, he was like, "You're a deep thinker." He was like, "You're a little philosopher." You know what I mean? And I was like, "Oh, okay." So you just never know. And I'm sure you understand this, Drew, as a teacher. You never know what kind of impact you're going to, make on somebody's life.
That's absolutely correct. So you've got the ear of high school students. What is one life lesson that you would pass on to students that you've learned?
How can you just go down to one. I think I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, and that's that you can do everything, quote unquote, right. You can have a plan. You can have a plan B. You can do everything that you think is the right thing to do. And guess what? It is not going to work out the way you think. I'm sorry, but it's not. And, you know, no matter what you believe in, I think that it is good to have a faith that no matter what happens, there is a reason for it, and that I like, if it's not good, it's not done, right? And you might, oh my gosh, sorry, there's birds out here.
Okay.
They're not dinosaurs. But you know, if you're feeling in a terrible place, trust me, I've been there. I've gone through some things, right? It feels in that moment that it can never get better, that this is it, that your life is ruined. All I can say is that it will get better, and there is a crazy, crazy, crazy purpose for why whatever has happened has happened. There's just so many things in my life where I'm like, there's no reason for this. This is just wrong. And then I look back and I'm like, man, thank God for that. Thank God. You know, what's that thing? Sometimes life's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. I mean, it's just thank God did not open certain doors, because it led me into a whole different direction I wouldn't have thought of. And like, look how beautiful it became, right? I understand it's much easier said than done, but what I can tell you guys is at the end of your life, you're going to look back and just say, thank God it happened that way and not the way I wanted it to happen.
Absolutely. I think you and I have learned some similar lessons in our time. So that's good to hear and good to see. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me today. I can't wait to see what's next for Kamille. I can't wait to see what's next for you on a personal level. And I know I'll definitely be cheering for you wherever that is. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thanks, Drew. Yeah, anytime we can talk. That's the thing too, is like with, I guess that you want to call my like platform now. That's the one thing that I feel passionate about, is that, you know, young kids and people, going through anything. I just want to be able to, I don't even know if inspire is the word, but, be there, whether it's like with my words or with something that they've seen in the past or anything. Yeah, I just want people to know that it's okay. It's all going to be okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you staying after school with Mr. Van Huss, and I hope I'll see you soon.
See you soon, Drew.